we're going to start with a very important debate, maybe a discussion about backup quarterbacks. This was the most important position on the team the last few years. The Niners would always talk about it's not about the starter, it's about the room, the collective, and they had the best room in the league. Now they got Brock and some backups. Who do you think the best backup quarterback is on the team, and do they have a good one?
Okay. I think the guy that they got from Minnesota.
The guy who played for 3 teams last year? Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, that guy.
That guy.
I think he's the backup. But here's what I want to say. Is he a good backup? Dobbs, is he a good backup? For a game or two. He's not a kind of quarterback, if Purdy goes down, who could play 8 games. It wouldn't work out. I think really there's something behind this question. They didn't know what to do with Trey Lance.
Right.
They could have kept him. They could have. Let's just go through this alternate universe. If they had kept him, he would be clearly the number 2 quarterback right now. I don't think he would compete with Brock Purdy because Brock Purdy is further along and is probably better. So there's no argument. But I think he would have been a very intriguing backup. And he would have posed problems for other teams that Purdy doesn't. I think he's probably a better quarterback than Joshua Dobbs. I could be wrong. This is just my surmise. So I think what's behind this question, last year, the whole topic was who's the backup quarterback? And there was significant competition between Purdy and Trey Lance, and everybody was involved. Everybody was involved in that. And also Sam Darnold. I mean, there was a whole big mix. Now it's not a discussion at all. And I think one of the reasons it's not a discussion, Brock Purdy has proved himself, but the other guys are not that good. So there's nothing to debate.
Right. And Brock Purdy stayed healthy for an entire year. So what's the point of a backup anymore? They don't have an issue with injuries anymore. I mean, it's not Brock's issue, but it's the Niners pattern. They've had an issue keeping quarterbacks healthy. And that's why they were in the backup quarterback business. Remember, 2 years ago, they went through 4. They were down to Josh Johnson in the NFC Championship game. So let's go back to the competition they had. It was such an important position, backup quarterback. They had a competition to determine who the best one was. And they led us to believe that Trey Lance was the worst than Brandon Allen, worse than Sam Darnold. I was there. I watched it. I think he was as good as them or better. I mean, Brandon Allen wasn't good. Sam Darnold wasn't good. So it seems like the real reason they got rid of him is because they thought he was a distraction. It's like the Tim Tebow thing, right? We can't have Tim Tebow on our team because he'll attract too much media and there'll be too much discussion about him as opposed to the rest of the team when that's not what we want. But it's not like Trey Lance got benched or his play forced him out of town.
No, he was a good player. Now, look, I understand wanting to avoid a distraction. Of course, Colin Kaepernick was a distraction that really hurt the team, all of his political stuff. Trey Lance was not a distraction in and of himself. He was very quiet. He didn't put any emphasis on himself. I think, Iggy, they could have worked around it. I do. I think they could have worked around it. I think they made a mistake, a hasty mistake, in getting rid of him so fast. But here's where I'd like to move, because that's the background, but it's history. Here's what I'd like to give you an exercise. We both agree that Joshua Dobbs is the number 2 quarterback, and he would be sufficient for a couple of games. The number 3 guy is Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Iggy, make a case, even if you don't believe it, make a case why he should be the backup quarterback and not Joshua Dobbs.
Okay. Allen has been with the Niners longer. He was here last year. He knows their system, and that's key for the 49ers. You got to be able to know Kyle Shanahan's system, and he's not as mobile as Joshua Dobbs, but he does have more accuracy. He has a better arm. So where Joshua Dobbs is like smart and decisive and can hit all the check down passes and keep the chains moving that way, Allen is more like Purdy, where he can throw the ball like 10, 15 yards down the field in that intermediate area, past the linebackers that Kyle Shanahan constantly wants to attack. So you could argue that Allen is a better fit for the 49ers offense and is closer to Brock Purdy's skill set than Josh Dobbs.
Who would you prefer as the backup between those two?
I mean, that's just all things I've seen in practice. In games, Brandon Allen hasn't played in a few years. I think he's only won a couple of games. We saw Dobbs last year in person. Even though he lost to the 49ers, we were both impressed.
We were.
He seems like a bit of a gamer, and I think he should probably get the first crack at playing if Purdy goes down.
Okay. Here's another one. The undrafted rookie quarterback, Mordecai. Make a case for him being the third quarterback on the roster.
Okay. I haven't seen Tanner Mordecai much in like 11 on 11 drills because they didn't put him in that in OTAs, but he's not that different than Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy was the last pick in the draft. He could have been undrafted. When he went into training camp, I didn't think anything of him. So the Niners have history turning a player that no one else wants into a great fit for them at quarterback. The last time they did it, they ended up with Brock Purdy. This is the next attempt. And he's kind of similar, about the same build, same athleticism. Maybe they deserve some benefit of the doubt. Maybe they can do it twice. Let's see what he's got. And it's not like Josh Dobbs, who's 29, and Brandon Allen, who's 32. Like, these are guys who have no potential. This guy may have potential and maybe as good as those two backups right now.
Do you think he'll end up on the practice squad, or will they cut him?
I think he'll end up on the practice squad. And if he plays well, he'll end up on the 53-man roster like Purdy did.
That's what I'm thinking. But it's hard to get a read on him because you really haven't seen him do very much, right?
I haven't seen anything yet, but we will see something in training camp. And we'll see some, maybe we'll see a little more in preseason as well. Like, Brock Purdy won't play much in the preseason. He's not competing. He's kind of established. So we'll see Dobbs and Allen. Maybe we'll see Mordecai if he's been playing well in practice. And if he plays well in the preseason and teams get a look at him, then he'll be in demand and the Niners will keep him.
Yeah, I applaud them for taking him. I do. I think they needed a quarterback. Didn't have to happen high in the draft. Didn't happen with Purdy. I think they did. We don't know for sure, but I think it was a good move for them.
Yeah, they needed to bring in a veteran. They did that in Joshua Dobbs. But they also needed to follow the blueprint that led them to Brock Purdy.
Right.
And this is a similar blueprint. So let's see if it works out twice. I mean, Brian Greasy, maybe he knows exactly what the Niners need at quarterback. This is the next chance.
Okay. Yeah. So we applaud that. And we say backup quarterback is not a sexy topic this July as it was last July. But it's a pertinent topic, and it's interesting to contemplate with all the emotion stripped of it.
Yeah, it's not a sexy topic until the starting quarterback goes down. Then it's the topic.
Yeah, that's interesting. If Purdy goes down and there is no guarantee that he's going to play all 17 games, it's kind of unusual. I'm not knocking anybody. But then whoever number 2 is, probably Joshua Dobbs, becomes very important.
Right, and you're thinking this team is so loaded that it should be able to win maybe for a month or two, even with a backup quarterback. I don't know if that's the case with Dobbs or Allen. It may need to be Mordecai. It's a good name.
Mordecai. It's from the Bible.
It's from the Bible. It's a good book. Bestseller.